Hello everyone, greetings. Welcome to yet another episode of Mobility Conversations. And our guest today is Mr. Krishan Kohli, India Head for Hydraulic Brake Systems and Vehicle Dynamics Business Units and Managing Director, Continental Brake Systems India Private Limited. Krishan, welcome to Mobility Outlook. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you again.
So I'll start off with a basic question in terms of when we look at the current market situation. Of course, we're not yet out of the troubles of this deadly pandemic, but how has business been for your unit?
I think last couple of years, this is second year in the row, has been definitely not an easy year. 2020, because of the COVID pandemic, I think the world over automotive market did see a lot of challenge. And thereafter, I think the second year in a row, we have more challenges in terms of supply chain shortages, including the semiconductor shortages. So it has been challenging 2 years in a row. Continental as an organization, I think couple of things that we were focused on. One is communication, very close communication with all our stakeholders, both internal, external, with customers, suppliers, and also the employee partners. That has worked well for us. And then a very close focus on the topics, how do we really see the risk mitigation against some of these challenges that was. So overall, I think we have been able to manage the challenges and topics in a very good manner, but definitely these have been 2 tough years behind us.
How do you look at the market panning out when you look at different segments, particularly let's say the two-wheeler industry? The growth within that particular segment has been slower compared to the other market segments. How do you look at it from your business perspective?
I think when we look at the two-wheeler market segment, you're right, the growth has been slower than if we look at the PV segment, passenger vehicles. Primarily, I think two-wheeler has been always a volatile market from a segment standpoint. But also, I think the consumers of two-wheeler market segment, the impact of COVID and some of the challenges, finances availability, I think these have been additional topics which have created the market erosion in a much bigger way compared to some of the other market segments. However, India is a very large two-wheeler market, in fact, largest in the world. Going forward, what we see, the way we saw four-wheeler recovery, it's a V recovery that we saw late last year. I think two-wheeler market is now getting ready to get the recovery of some of the lost volumes in the recent times. And going forward, I think Continental, we are very, very excited. The business that I represent, where we do brake solutions, so ABS regulations, that is definitely helping us drive the market adoptions and volumes higher. And then going forward, we are also looking at some of the requirements, enhanced functionalities driven from the pull from the users. So overall, it's exciting time going forward that I look at from a two-wheeler market segment.
So despite these constraints in the market and the opportunities that you see for the future, how do you really see demand growing for your product lines?
I think the engagement that we already have, we have a strong engagement with most of the key OEMs in the market. Some of the new opportunities also opened up in the last few months. So we are well engaged with the key OEMs. And I think there are strong growth volume projected for us. So next year, I think all I can say is whatever volumes for two-wheeler market segment we drive here, we would see, if not fully doubled, at least a big kind of increase in the volumes. So for us, I think our growth projections over the next couple of years for two-wheeler market segment are pretty bullish.
Also, could you give us a sense of the kind of most recent innovations in when we're talking of be it the HBS side or the vehicle dynamics side? Could you give us a sense of the recent innovations in these areas?
I think the Continental, being a technology player, we definitely keep innovating, and some of the technologies on the brake sides that we have been working in the recent times globally are the one box solution that we got into the market. And there we have already now got the next generation of one box, the Mark C2, and we are already getting ready, engaging in a bigger way with some of the key players world over. Also, Looking forward, we are looking at the future brake solutions. So, this is a requirement. Markets are going to migrate to dry brakes. So, Continental is working in advance on these technologies at the right time, making them available in the market. So, this is couple of years down beyond 2025, but Conti is already putting all the right technology investments into these future requirements of brakes. Coming to the two-wheeler side, we already have a one-channel ABS, we have a two-channel ABS. Also, we have the integral brake solutions for the two-wheeler segment for higher-end bikes and two-wheelers. So, we are getting ready as the market matures and the demand is picking up to get all these technologies in the Indian market as well.
How do you see the dynamics of your business evolving even as the mobility domain evolves, right? We're talking of a transition from ICs to EVs and of course the future. How do you see this, panning out for your business?
Yeah, so I think this is a great question, and Continental, as I mentioned, being a technology player, we definitely are watchful of what are the mega trends, what are the future technology requirements of the markets. So, what we have seen is sustainability is one big kind of a mega trend coming apart from digitalization and then the shared mobility. So, some of these mega trends, I think Continental is working very strongly on the areas to be future ready. And here I think electrification is one area, autonomous mobility is another area. We also have safety and motion topics where we are working on identifying the future needs in advance and then also getting future ready.
Okay, when you talk of the hydraulic braking solutions as well as VD in the future, give us a sense of the localization that you have undertaken and how do you see that sort of growing in the future?
Yeah, so for the hydraulic brakes business in India, I think our footprint is going over a decade, and I think we have a high level of localization already in all the three product lines that we have: actuation, drum and calipers. And in future we are also looking at getting some advanced technologies in terms of electronic parking brakes, so EPB technologies. Here I think on the hydraulic brake side our localization is upwards of 65%. Coming to the electronic brakes, which is ABS and ESC, we have already localized both the electronic control unit assemblies in our Bangalore plant, and we also have localized the complete hydraulic control unit assembly here in the Gurgaon plant. Going forward, we are also looking at localizing the child parts. So currently we are in the range of 50% localization. Going forward, we again want to drive further localization, and that will help us for future sustainable growth and competitiveness for Continental.
Okay, and again in terms of future growth, how well placed are you in terms of the capacities that you have here?
So currently we have about for the hydraulic brakes by different product lines anywhere between 700 to a million unit of capacity, which is sufficient for the engagement that we have in the market. Coming to the electronic brakes, I think between the two-wheeler and four-wheeler, we have upwards of 2 million capacity, which is installed in both our plants, the back end in Bangalore and also the complete assembly here in Gurgaon. Going forward, I think the kind of manufacturing processes that Continental follows, there is flexibility to expand these capacities, at least the lines that we already have. We have a flex etch line concept. So I can take this upwards of 2 million that I mentioned, 2.5 million. Easily I can scale up another 30%, and thereafter if there is a need and the market expands further, then I will have to make fresh investments. Okay. But 30% flexibility I have to expand.
Considering the opportunities that you have in the Indian market and the capabilities that you are building here in this market, do we see Continental India sort of becoming a hub for at least your two-wheeler brakes business in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think one of the strategies that we are driving within Vehicle Dynamics business unit is that can we do more out of India, being the largest market world over for two-wheelers, and I think we are getting to take those decisions, but right now I think there are strong discussions within the Vehicle Dynamics BU for manufacturing and for R&D both. Can we make India as a manufacturing hub for the global markets? So definitely Continental is working in that direction.
Okay, and also, I wanted to ask you about when you look at this, India becoming a global hub for Continental, for instance, R&D, of course, is playing a great role even in the current context. But how are you really looking at developing or building up your R&D capability in the Indian market for your business units?
Great question, I must say, and I think what we have as a strategy to build the R&D competencies in India. So there is an integrated technical center that we have already in Bangalore. This houses more than 4,000 people, engineers, and for all business units working for different technologies needs for both the regional markets as well as global markets. Part of that strategy, when the engineers are servicing the global markets like Japan and Europe, so I think there is an inherent competency build that happens, which also helps us servicing the local markets with the same level of competencies. So that is one of the strategies that we had when we were setting up this technical center in Bangalore, and I think it is working very well.
Just in addition to that, and to one of my previous questions, the kind of opportunity you see as India sort of transitions from ICEs to EVs, particularly in the two-wheeler space. We've actually seen a mushrooming of electric vehicle makers in the country. So, what are the kind of changes that you see coming in from vehicle dynamics perspective?
I think from a vehicle dynamics perspective, when we move from IC engines into electrification, I think the dynamics of the vehicle, as the term says, will undergo a change. And then when we are working into integrating our solutions into any OEM application, I think there is a whole lot of application work that goes in to get the right dynamic fit with the vehicle application. So here I think the vehicles will be much quieter, being electric, but also I think the power ratios will be different, and then we definitely will need to make changes both into our control strategy and software. And I think we are already working with some OEMs in the early stages, but as the market really moves in a bigger way into electrification, Continental, we have technologies and ready to engage servicing those market needs.
So my final question, Krishan, when you look at the future, considering all the challenges that we have around the world, supply side challenges, semiconductor of course is a big issue. How do you look at the future panning out for you? If you could give us a sense of that.
So firstly, I think we already started that last 2 years have been very challenging, and we are hoping that going forward 2022 is a better year, which looks like to be. But will it be free of challenges? I don't think so. The semiconductor, as one of the topics, will definitely overflow into 2022. So we are working as Continental on risk mitigation plans, business continuity strategies, how we'll still be able to service our customers and market needs in that situation. And then when it comes to the growth of the business and the local footprint expansion, I think we are well engaged with both four-wheeler side of the market and two-wheeler, and getting stronger, deeper connects with the OEMs. And I think once the market is getting into a recovery mode in full bloom, that will also help us grow our business. So we are very excited about the future. The only thing is current times, we are right now busy focusing on addressing these current challenges in terms of supply chain mostly, and some of the after effects and continued effects of COVID.
Have you been impacted by the concerns around the material availability and material costs as well?
Yes, very much. In fact, Continental being a key player in the automotive market, second largest player, so we definitely have been equally impacted like the market, and both in the global markets as well as in the Indian markets. So 2020, part of the COVID challenge, and also I think some related topics that came in, and then semicon, when the market started recovering, became a big new challenge in front of the world. So we saw the demands getting back much stronger, but the capacities were missing in the range of 20 to 30%, and similar impact Continental also faced.
On that note, Krishan, thank you so much for speaking to Mobility Outlook. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, and it was a pleasure talking again.